challenge. That's in your basket.
Well, I think we've got now your direct path with quotes on it as being something different from what we thought was meant.
Well, that's the problem with words. So we need to find another
Was it
term.
you
Well,
once
we don't
said
need another term. I think
We do, because if I want to tell somebody, I want that performed as,
a direct path.
yes.
But that's, we now know what it means
to you.
to you.
No, do not say that we're changing. We're
No,
not
I
changing.
didn't say we're changing.
I think we just
I said
need to
Then you
define.
don't
the
have a
words.
choice. You only have one thing,
No, we have
which is the straight path.
straight path or
Well, we haven't
central
used the
path. There's
straight path.
two. There's two.
But
But I
why
mean,
can't the
they're
word
But
basically-
the end there's direct path, which you define now, that where people here were not clear on before.
But
Now
Anne
we
is
understand
saying
what
she,
you're saying.
she would, Anne, I think what she's saying is that is there a possibility of finding a word that everybody understands has a specific meaning that we all are in agreement with, so we don't have to keep glossarizing all the
Oh, we
time.
don't glossarize.
Well, in this case, one would
That's no
glossarize,
joke.
because if we see something and we have to say, well, this is Anne's score, Anne's writing, so she has that meaning, and this is, you know.
But it doesn't matter what the word is. When you look at the score, you're going to do the same thing, or close enough to the same thing that it doesn't matter.
We've had this discussion every time. The word does mean something, because if you're
No,
talking.
but when you're looking at a score, you're not talking words. You're looking at symbols and you're understanding movement concepts. So the movement, so where we agreed is that there may be different intention in how it's written, but the end result will be the
But
same.
there are other applications, Sandra, besides writing a score to the work we're doing. For example, when you're communicating verbally and teaching somebody, move da-da-da or move da-da-da, and if I use one word or a different word, you need the student or the person they need to know which one I'm using and the meaning, and I think maybe I'm wrong, but
The
Anne is
path.
suggesting, yes, well, so,
If,
The X path.
in your score you have a gesture from one point to its opposite, then what is going to be your manner of performance?
oh, that's the other issue now.
So that you're not spelling it out in the score, that's just the statement. How is the person going to perform it? And then part of a dancer's education is looking into this and being aware that if they're not being peripheral, if they're not being central, if they're not doing straight path, the other possibility, whatever it's called.
But from a vocabulary perspective, as words, is there a huge difference? And I'm like looking at you right now because you might have the best answer. Is there really a difference in definition between straight and direct? I mean, there is, but I'm asking on a different level. No, I'm not. Don't do movement.
Well,
I'm
I'm-
asking vocabulary.
Well,
There is a difference between straight and direct. Straight has a more geometric sense to it, right? If you
Yes.
talk about a straight direction, whereas if you're doing something in a direct way, you're not necessarily going straight. You're just going as efficiently as you can do it.
a design, to me, the word straight connotes a design. At least, if I say straight, I'm thinking about a kind of line, a design, a
As the
path.
crow flies.
And direct means something else, go
Direct is
there.
more subtle.
Okay, but then I'm gonna come back one more time again, and again, I'm just, because I don't understand this, then why in these textbooks, if you're looking up straight path, is it listed under direct?
Well, that's
For the
probably
same
So
reason
sad.
everything else in lab notation is all estimation and doing something that's determined by your own body structure, right? It's all up for grabs in a certain sense.
But we also
We might
have
as well
facing
use the
pins
word
in front.
straight,
Yeah,
right?
but we also have facing pin. We also have, instead of front signs, we teach it as front signs, but we also interchangeably use the word facing pin.
Now that's old-fashioned,
Yes, but we still do it because it's
Why?
just, we just
Why?
do.
because facing pins, does that have to do with my face?
No, we talk
And
facing
then the
pins or the
pin-
facing on the
pin is
stage.
used for so many other things. Whereas I thought Knust had a very good idea in calling them front signs, because that's exactly what they are,
Right.
nothing else.
I'd like to
But
make
we still
a
do use them
comment.
interchangeably, so is it possible that
I know, I
straight
think-
and direct could be used interchangeably?
That's
No,
another
because
solution.
It's two different ideas.
Are they?
But do we have, but
Ann
are
just
you,
explained.
but are you proposing a specific meaning for direct path?
That's what Ann was doing. She was saying that it could have a bit of curvature. If you did it fast, you could.
If you do it without thinking in a comfortable way, maybe comfortable is the word we need,
The comfortable path.
it is what you do. That you don't go peripherally
And then how
unless
is,
you say
and how is
via
a
form.
direct path in your, in this current discussion, how is, can you, with using the same gesture, going from side to side or up to down, can you please demonstrate the difference between central path, straight path, and direct path, please?
So, my understanding of direct path is I'm going from there to there. Straight path, give or take some rotation, and central, I think, of my body.
So these
Straight
are
path,
sort
I
of
think,
3 degrees.
fingertips.
Of how close
What's
it's
the
coming. You
fingertip?
saw the
Yeah.
same, you all saw the same thing that I did?
Yeah.
So central path is absolutely the closest because you're going
Right.
centrally to the body. Straight path just means straight line,
Right.
and direct path is
Comfortable. What you're comfortable doing.
arcing somewhere.
Right. Slight arc. but-
Slight arc?
But with no plan,
And no thinking, yeah, not intentional arc, but just a natural.
Well, it seems to me you're introducing.
Anatomical, just a natural anatomical.
It's like it's being, but the last one, it seems to me, is more open to interpretation. It's like you're adding an element of open to interpretation to the last one. The first two are pretty well defined.
And what's the interpretation in the third one?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's open. When you say comfortable, what's comfortable to me might not be
It might
comfortable.
go farther
That
from the
was
body
for
than
direct.
the direct,
Not
right.
central.
I mean the
Right,
direct.
right.
But it
Direct.
seems to me that, so is that what you're suggesting, that two of them are pretty well defined and have a specific definition, but the third one, there's a qualitative,
Well, I think what Ann
aspect
is
to
saying is
Nothing
that
to
it's
do with
comfortable, that
quality.
Well, if
it's
it
comfortable,
differentiate-
it may be different
It's
for you
the
versus me because we
facial
are,
pattern.
so it's open, more open to interpretation.
but it isn't about interpreting. I think what Ann was saying is not
Physical.
interpreting, it has to do with your own physical
It's what
body.
is,
In a
It'll- it
relaxed
may-
manner.
Okay.
Maybe different when you do it versus how I do it.
If you added
As
speed
I-
to the equation,
was
that
you at anything?
the only way to do something super fast is the direct way to do it. Now, if you took speed out and still had it direct, you could analyze, what you did to do it so quickly and do the same thing.
I'm not sure how much time we have left. I would like to say something before we end. Is there, do we have half an hour
We
left?
have,
or we have
no, we have
1
no
minute
time,
left?
so you have
But
half a
it's
minute.
lunch now.
Okay,
I mean, it's-
so-
Half a minute.
I'd like to say, it's
We didn't get to
very
any of
interesting
those.
to see all of this discussion about terminology going on, and clearly it's important because there's this fundamental notion of movement analysis, which is very important. You want to be able to analyze movement and to refer to things. But one thing I've noticed is that there also seems to be a tendency in the lab annotation community, and I don't know about other communities, but there seems to be a tendency to very tightly bind these terminological decisions to the notation itself, as if you're going to talk about this piece of notation, you must use this term to describe it. And I think it's important, and I just feel like telling this to all these important people in the room, I think it's important that we not do that. That lab notation is a notation system. Its meaning is inherent in the notation itself, not in the word, the terminologies that we use to describe it. You know, there's people who speak French and German and Italian, and they all talk about lab notation, and they use their own words. And maybe they've started to all sort of use the same words, even if that's not part of their natural language. But I think essentially, though, as someone who's writing a text about lab notation, I don't like a lot of the terminology. And it seems like I would like to describe things in my own way. And it seems like that's often how advances in a field get to be made, is people come up with new ways of talking about it that cast it in a different light. So
And sometimes you have to use poetic words.
sometimes you have to use poetic words or just descriptive words that you don't intend ever to be terminology, right? Like I would describe a lot of aspects of lab notation using words that I find very specific, but that I wouldn't call terminology, and that I wouldn't want to call terminology. And sometimes, Anne, when I'm reading your works, it seems like you'll use a word that has since become this sort of doctrine of terminology, but I get this strong sense in some of your texts here that you're not really intending these words to be terminological, that you're intending to describe something in a way that makes sense to the reader. And it's just that over the decades, people have come to
worship.
take these words, yes, to worship at your altar.
At the altar of Anne.
I'm going to interrupt.
Your word.
I'm going to interrupt then. This is possibly a whole other new topic for another.
Yeah.
I'm glad, I mean, so I got the last word, that's what I wanted.
So, but I do
Yeah.
want to give
Because-
this one last word to Anne.
No, yeah.
But then I have to go again.
No,
Talk about this.
we're going to end with Anne. And my prior,
I have
my
nothing to
prior.
say. Don't look at
Okay,
me.
so Anne, we thank you. I'm going to end
I
by
just
saying
want to-
thank you. But you tell us.
Before we blow
Good.
kisses,
Because we
or
have, yes.
spit.
Yes.
That was what they used to say in London when you drove past the Royal Ballet School.
Yes.
And they say, either you swing incense or you spit.
That could be a great ending for us.
I just wanted to say to Sandra about in the book where it says direct in the index and blah, 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 and all of that. I can make mistakes. I can be careless.
Oh, I'm not saying that they're mistakes. I'm saying that somewhere
No,
along the
somewhere
line.
along the
saying.
line, well, whether it's a mistake or a lack of clarification or whatever it is, but
But I think I
I
was trying
like
to
to
point
leave
out that
room
it's,
for improvement.
and
and
I'm
that's where
trying to
you
point out
people
that there's
come in.
still discussion on this. That it's still an open-ended discussion, that there has been no resolution. That's why I pointed it out, because it seems to still be something that needs to be
To be
discussed.
continued.
Yeah.
Great.
Fine.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Anne. Thank you.
Thank you
So
so
much.
Fascinating, and
Isn't
I
it?
really,
Yeah.
it's such a pity I live so far away
Yes.
because I
Well,
don't
see, you
get
can get on the
anything.
screen like
do
that.
Skype?
But
Can you
you
do
could
Skype?
you could get on the screen like Susan Gingrasso.
Do you
We've
have-
also had your Janos attend our meetings on the
We
screen.
had 2 meetings with Janos.
Oh, he wasn't
Via
here
Skype.
physically? He was...
No, he was
On the
in
screen.
Hungary.
Yeah,
In
he
Hungary.
was here in Hungary. He was with us from Hungary, and it worked beautifully.
Yes.
Do you have that capacity, or one of
Any
your
computer,
people?
if you have any
Yes,
computer that
I
has
think I do.
Because we
has
could
a video,
have.
because we could have you here, and we'd love to
and
have you here more.
yeah.
What time is it in England right now?
Well, you